Okay, we're on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Harbor Community Meeting. Today is February 23rd, and that's official community meeting for the Project Harbor, which means we follow the CNCF Code of Conduct. So in simple words, just behave, be nice to the others, and let's have fun meeting today. With that, I'm going to share the agenda for today. Give me a second. Yeah. Hope everyone can see that. So that's what we're going to discuss today. We have one huge announcement to do. And with that, I think the floor is for Abby to announce the SIG Docs. Go ahead.
Yes, hello everyone. So today we are launching our SIG Docs group, which is going to be a group focused on helping the Harbor documentation and anything related therein to docs. And I'm really excited about this group, and hopefully everyone else on the call is as well. I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for folks who are either new to the project, who want to learn more about Harbor, or for folks who want to learn more about technical writing. It's a really great opportunity just to get out there and test things around. And so to go through things about the group today, we're going to do just a brief introduction of ourselves for the new folks. And then Orlin is going to do a brief overview of Harbor. If you are new to the project, you'll get a little more information about Harbor itself. And then I'm going to do a demo of some of our tools and website stuffs and how to contribute. And then we'll just take a quick look at good first issues and some of our first projects that we have going on. So I guess intros, I should probably start off by introducing myself. I am Abby. I am going to be the SIG Docs lead person. So I'll be the point person if you have questions. Feel free to reach out. I've been working with Harbor for about 2 years, I think, which is like a lot longer. I was thinking about that this morning, and it's much more time than I had thought I was with the project. So I've been with us for about 2 years, and I've been technical writing for probably about 7 years, and then just sort of gotten to open source. And I'm a really huge fan of being able to do things in open source and the community building opportunities that there are. So I'm looking forward to the group taking off. I guess for intros, do we want to do go around? I'm not sure if that would work, Orlin, if you have any suggestions.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that. I'll take the next one. Maybe some of you know me. I'm the community manager for Harbor. I'm currently employed, and I hope for a long time I'll be employed by VMware. But yeah, so I took over the community management for Harbor for about a year ago. Prior to that, I was deep technical hands-on engineer. So I switched gears a bit towards this one. I really enjoyed doing it. So I hope everyone in this code, especially the new folks, will get the vibe of the team and will enjoy contributing. With this one, I'll hand over to Vadim.
Sorry, to me?
Hello.
Oh.
Vadim, let's go with Vadim, and then Eugene, you can go next.
Yeah, so hello everybody, my name is Vadim. I'm one of the recent maintainer for Project Harbor, and I contribute mostly in form of community, so helping people out with Harbor installation, setup, and problems. But I also do contribute, bug fixing and opening up issues and create problems that we see when we work with Harbor. So this is kind of my current position here at the project. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Eugene, can you go next?
Yeah, I have quite extensive experience kind of, in general documentation. I'm innovation manager and a consultant. So again, yeah, I wrote quite a bit of technical business documents. I don't code, and I never work with coding technical writing, despite the fact that I spent 2 years at Mozilla, which is open source project, and kind of obviously I spoke with and work with developers there. So kind of what I'm trying to figure out is that whether it's right time for me to join this project, because I obviously will need a lot of help. And again, if this group has resources, kind of, to teach me if you want, and I'm very willing to learn whatever needed to do this job, then I'll be kind of happy to contribute. If there is no resources and people actually have enough time only to do what is currently needed, then maybe not. So I'm sorry, kind of introducing this piece of uncertainty, but that's the truth.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's the whole idea behind this SIG, is to introduce people to the project and to the open source world, and also to help them out ramping up and to get them educated how we do stuff with the project, with GitHub, for example, your first PR, Hugo, you name it, everything around it. Actually, it's on me that I wasn't ready with like a short video of your first steps in the PR process, but I really hope I'll be ready until the end of the week or beginning of next week. So you have like a something to step on and educate. And then, of course, you have to do your homework, read on your own. But I'll be around, and Abby as well, to help out anyone who wants to join us. With that, I'm going through the list that I can see on my screen. I'm sorry for that. But Dora, you're next.
Hello, everyone. So I actually joined this call because I saw Abby's post on Reddit, and I am a documentation manager and the lead technical writer for an engineering firm here in Canada. So I have experience with coding, but I am not a developer myself. I use GitHub and, like basic JavaScript, web development stuff, Python. Last year, I was actually part of a open source project on GitHub as well called Raftory. Basically, I picked up Scala to help with their graph analytics tool. And I was also their technical writer contributing for a few months. And so I'm very happy to be here, and hopefully I can help out with the project.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And next one on my list is, I'm sorry, I missed the name. I have only picture. Prahalat. I'm sorry if I'm misreading the name. We cannot hear you.
Okay. Hey, folks. Sorry, I was talking on mute. Good evening. And so I'm Prahlad. I'm working with VMware in the cloud management business unit at VMware. And I have been contributing to Harbor for quite some time, although this is my first community meeting that I've joined. So I was one of the first features that I put in Harbor was normalizing the vulnerability scan data into relational schemas, so that it allows for faster reporting and more ad hoc reporting structure as opposed to the JSON blob processing. That was my first PR. I'm right now, I'll be presenting a subsequent proposal that is the next in line once this agenda item completes. For my day, Harbor is my side project. During my day job, I'm a lead engineer for multi-cloud networking analytics and observation product called as We Realize Network Insight, which deals with VMware Cloud, AWS, etc. So pure tech networking, basically. And I enjoy contributing to Harbor. And one of the primary reasons is that it gives me experience in open source. And also, I would honestly admit that it was where I learned to write Go code, production level Go code. And it all began with that. So yeah, that's about me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next one on my list is Jonas.
Hi, folks. My name is Jonas Roslin. I used to be the community manager for Harbor for a couple of years until Orlin took over that responsibility. I am now the head of community here at VMware, focused on community engagement for a bunch of open source projects, including Harbor. Orlin and Abby are on my team. And I'm super happy to see this new project, new SIG Docs blooming out. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen here.
Thank you. Again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. Jin Yu Zhang, can you introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Chen Yu and I'm from China. And currently I'm working in the VMware Harbor team. And I focus on the area of performance, replication, and metrics, and so on. So happy to know you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one is Manogna. Again,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. That's right. So, hi, I'm Manogna. I'm working with Mercedes-Benz Research and Development Organization. I'm the product owner of Harbor product in our organization. I haven't started contributing to the Harbor community yet, but I've been consistently joining the community meetings to align our product according to what's happening in the community and with the Harbor product. So that's about it.
Thank you. Yang Wan, you're next.
Hi, I'm Ian from Harbor Engineer team. Welcome to you guys to the Harbor community. I have joined Harbor for more than 5 years at the very beginning phase. I can maybe probably answer all your questions about the Harbor details. If you guys have any question about that, just feel free to ask that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dao Jun, you're next.
Okay, I'm Dao Jun. My name is Storm. I'm working in Harbor project for 4 years, mainly focus on ADAP authentication and the project cache features, and also provided some support for the Harbor tile, the functions of the Harbor. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Julie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie. I saw Abby's post in Write the Docs and decided to check it out. I'm currently an assistant instructor in a web development program, sort of interested in cloud computing and open source, and decided to come check it out.
Thank you. And you have next one is Minor Yang.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Minor Yang, and I'm joined VMware last July and work with Harbor team. I'm mainly responsible for prepare for the Harbor package and prepare for the migration script for Harbor. Thanks.
Thank you. I think with that, did I miss anyone? Because obviously the list is changing. I hope not. So with that, Abby, as we discussed, shall we do like a brief Harbor overview, or?
Yeah, I think that might be some beneficial for our new folks to get more information about the project.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I've pasted in the Zoom chat link to your recent talk that I made at FOSDEM in Europe. It was about Harbor 101, so you can check the whole talk there with some demos. But before that, I'm going to share my slides from that same talk. And I'm just going to go over very briefly on that. Okay. I'm going to miss all that, but yeah, I said it already. Who am I? So Harbor is the open source project and the only one graduated right now at CNCF in the category of container registry. With that said, it's like the de facto, the first choice of the cloud native world to go through on-premise installation or cloud installation, but self-managed registries out there. The project was started back in 2014 in VMware in the China office. open sourced in 2016, and by the 2020 graduated from CNCF. So that's the very brief Harbor timeline. By the way, oh, I missed Pooja, right? Can I finish this one and then we can jump back to you? Sorry. So that's the brief timeline. By the way, many of the maintainers are on this call, so please interrupt me if I'm saying something stupid or incorrect. So why Harbor? Yeah, those are slides for that event. But yeah, the community, which I think is the part why you're joining this call right now, it's huge and very colorful and very nice to work with. It's also open source, of course, and self-hosted, as I said. So the whole idea behind Harbor is not to use it as a service from some provider, but if you are a big company and you want to host your images, that's one of the choices. So the architecture is too much over here, but everything is layered. So you have different integrations with different identity providers, and in simple words, you can use Harbor to store your Docker images or, for example, your Helm charts. Also, Harbor provides security scanning, which I'm gonna discuss over here. So we have RBAC, so you can define roles, you can define replication between different sources or different Harbor instances. We have the vulnerability scanning, which is one of the main part of Harbor and why people are using it, because you have integrated that within. Content trust, which means you can sign your images with Notary, or right now we are integrating with cosign. The Helm chart, Vadim, fix me if I'm wrong, but I think we're going to remove the chart museum soon, right? We have Web Portal, which allows you to interact with Harbor in a visual way, but also we have the RESTful API, which is the programmable way how your systems or your scripts can talk to Harbor. And also we have multi type of deployments of Harbor. You can install it through Docker Compose, Helm chart, you name it. So that's very, very brief to touch base on what's Harbor and what you can expect from the project, and in which areas the work of technical writer can go. So everything be around containers and artifacts in the Harbor registry. I'm gonna stop that sharing. I hope that wasn't too quick or too slow. Give me a second to share again the agenda. Okay, Avi, I think, okay, first of all, Pooja, I'm sorry if I'm again mispronouncing your name, but can you please brief us who you are and why you join us?
Hi, I'm Pooja. I'm working for Arbor team in Mercedes-Benz car.
Great, thanks. Did I miss anyone else? I'm sorry, if I miss you, please raise your hand or just unmute and speak. I'm sorry for that. Okay, Avi, I think next part is you to Docs tooling and contributing and GitHub. You want to take over from this?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
sure.
So I am gonna talk through some of our tooling and hopefully get through a demo if the demo gods are with me. So why don't I start by sharing my screen. If I can find the button. So hopefully you all can see my screen. Are you seeing? Okay, cool. So this is our main Harbor repo. We have all of our content in a website repo on GitHub. And the main tools that we use are GitHub. and Markdown, which is a markup language for plain text. So it's pretty straightforward to adopt if you're not familiar with it. It's just simple markup. Just so you can see, it's just very simple markup for links and etc. So if that's something you're new, hopefully it's easy for you to pick up. But there's a lot of tutorials online available as well if you're not familiar with it. Our website is built with Hugo, which is a static site generator. And that is, what that means is it takes our markdown files and puts it through our templating, renders all of the content as static HTML files. So then we can then host the files and build our website. So it's pretty neat if you know anything about static site generators. I think Hugo is a really great example of one. But you don't also need to know a lot about it to actually contribute if that's not something you want to dive into. So let's see. Yeah, so this is where all of the things are. So the first step, if you would like to contribute, would be to fork our, I don't know why I have all these things open, fork our repo. So you could go right into GitHub, create the fork. I already have one existed, but this will pop up and you'll be able to create the fork. You could tell that you are looking at the fork. This happens to me all the time, but sometimes I think I'm on the actual the main website, but I'm actually looking at the wrong thing. So you could tell you're looking at your fork when it says your name and the website, and that it is from the GitHub organization, not GitHub, the Harbor organization. So this is your local fork, which is basically just a copy of the repo. And you'll want to clone that to your computer. So you should be able to do that through this website. Like I already have one downloaded, but you can use this modal to copy whatever, and then just run clone. You can also use GitHub Desktop, which I use a lot, and that's just a interface that GitHub offers, and it's very, so you can see it's pretty easy to use. If you're not familiar with Git or the command line, and you just want a more straightforward way to do it without having to learn Git right away, you could just go through everything with the GitHub Desktop. Hopefully I'm okay. Well, you're still able to see my screen. So let's dive into seeing. Did I share the wrong? Oh no, sorry. I have a lot of windows open, so I just want to make sure I have everything open. So when you have everything all cloned and you're in your website directory, which is your local version of it, you could see all the files are the same as what is here, because I have it all cloned down here. We also have, if you wanted to make a change, we do offer a way to run the website locally when we have a script. So once you have it cloned, you can run this script from your directory, wherever you have cloned. Let's see if I, and that'll prepare the whole website so that you can view it locally. Kind of a little bit long. And then if you need to do this to install any of the dependencies, you wouldn't necessarily need to do this every time. And then you can go and too many windows, like I said. And this will start off Hugo in the background running, which will create a local copy of the website. So this is exactly like the Go Harbor website. It's just what you have running locally. And the cool thing about with this setup is that you can see it's still running in your terminal. So if you go and you wanted to make a change, and you can actually see those changes happening in real time as you make changes and updates within the code, within the content files. So over here, I have just another example or another terminal window, and it's the same thing as the files. So in the docs folder is where in the docs folder is where we actually keep all of our main content. So this is where all the files that you would want to be changing, most likely as you go through and make an update. So for example, if we wanted to just to see how this all works, you can go into your text editor. I tend to use Atom. It could be any text editor that you want that is able to open up the files. So this is the index file that you're seeing here under Docs. And so if you wanted to see these changes as they were made in real time. So let me just show you what I'm talking about first. So you can make that. And now you see you made those changes live on your local environment, and that's all because you have the local setup running. So if you saw before that I switched over to Edge, so this is where I'm kind of being a little bit all over the place here. So the main, the docs that are changed are made out of the main branch. In order to see those changes locally, you need to be working out of /edge. If you were making a change against a different setup, then you would be, it's just where the changes are being made. So in Edge, you can see that this is where you've made changes out of the index file. Now, if you wanted to make this contribution back to the website, so you wanted to make this PR, you could see in your terminal that you have the, you can see these changes is git status. And this will show you where all of the commits were made that we made the change to the index file. So actually I kind of jumped ahead. So before doing this, you'd also probably want to make these changes in a branch. So you'd have to do that. You would create a new branch called, whatever your branch name would want to be. And then you'd want to jump from the main branch into your new branch by doing. So now you can see you're in the demo branch instead of in the main branch. Is this too small for folks? Is that you're able to see my terminal?
It's okay, but you can zoom in a bit.
Yeah, zoom in a bit.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So now you're in the demo branch and you can see, let's see. So you still have that change that's there. So if we wanted to go forward with making this change and making a PR to submit this change, the next thing that you would want to do is you want to add your commit to the branch. And now you can see that the change was actually added into this branch. And then you want to make your commit. And the M is for a message, which is, whatever it would want to be. When you're going through this, it's really helpful to have commit messages that make sense to what your changes are, so that it's easy to identify what you're doing. Update docs header for demo. And then for each PR, for each commit that you want to make to the Harbor repo, it needs to be signed. Which is just a way to signify that you have signed off and verified these changes. It is something that we require. We cannot merge commits unless they're signed. But if you do forget to do this step while you're doing it, while you're actually making a commit and making a PR, it's okay. It's very easy to fix and adjust. It's just something that we require of each commit. So you might need to do that. So you could do not sing off. That would be hilarious if we had it as sing off. Sign off. So that will add your changes. And you can see, sorry, that there are no more commits because no more new changes to make because you've already committed them. So the next thing that you want to do is to actually go and push these changes. So right now you've only made the changes to your on your machine, and you need to actually push those up to your fork that you have made. So up in actual GitHub. So git push, and this is very small. Sorry, Zoom is like messing up with my things here. So you can see that you don't actually have the branch that you were making up on GitHub. You've only done it locally. So you need to make sure that GitHub knows what changes you want to make in what branch. So they'll give you the command to run this to actually push this branch onto GitHub. So that is, so now that you've done this, you should be able to see your changes in your fork. So this is now up on GitHub, so you can make the change. And GitHub will pop up and actually make this button here for you can make a PR. So this will make a PR, which is pull request from your fork of the changes that you just made into the Harbor upstream repo, which is where the live, the live website repo is. Everything is there. So you can see that it had whatever you had as your commit message as the title already populated. If you want to add any more content describing what your PR is doing, that's really helpful for us, especially just to give us more context of what you're doing. Whatever it is, and then you can actually create the pull request. So now it is, now you have a pull request created, and that someone is able to review these changes that you want to make. For our all pull requests, we require 2 changes to be made, 2 reviewers, which is mostly to get a like a copy editing review and a technical review. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's only 1 review is required to get things merged, just to make so if you do create a PR, and I'm not sure actually if you're able, I forget GitHub permissions. I'm not sure if you're actually able to add a reviewer, but if you aren't, tag me or Orlin and we can help you out with that. And one of the cool things that we do, that we our web hosting tool is called Netlify. And one of the cool things that Netlify offers is a way to preview your changes live. So whenever you make a pull request, you're able to see when this line, whenever it is finishes loading, you're actually able to go into a you're actually able to see where your changes are. See the changes live, so that when you're reviewing, you can see the changes again, and then you can also make sure that everything loads correctly. So if you don't have the local setup working or whatever, you just want to make a change, you can also create a PR and then see the changes. Man, this is being slow. Oh, thank you, Orlin. Left a comment, thank you. And approved. So with Orlin's review, we're able to merge this as soon as all the checks pass. Again, it's still being slow. Normally it's not this slow, but anyway, so the point is that it will provide a preview for you, so that you'll be able to see your changes, and it makes reviewing a little bit easier. While we're waiting for this, do people have questions? I kind of jumped around a bit, so hopefully this is making sense to you if you're familiar with the GitHub flow. But if you have any questions, let me know.
Would we be creating a branch on our fork, and that's where we propose the changes from, or is the demo branch, was that just a demo?
Yeah, so you'd want to make from your fork, you probably want to make a branch of your own for whatever changes you want to make. A good most often when you're making a change, you'll probably have an issue assigned to it. So for say for this issue, if you're fixing this issue right here, and you were creating a PR, it's probably a good something you could do is put a branch, fixes 290 as your branch name.
Okay.
And then when you go make the pull request, it's kind of connected back to the issue. You're also able to connect issues just in GitHub by saying, when you create the PR, you can also add in, fixes 290, and it'll automatically connect those two things, and it'll help with auto closing. But I would say name everything after the issue number if you have an issue. If not, just use a short description of what the PR is for.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can see that you now have a preview of your changes against, a preview of the website. That it's just, this is on the internet if people wanted to go. This is just available to folks so everyone can see it. It's not just on my local machine if you're interested in poking around. Were there any other questions? Okay, if not, I can kind of go through. Sorry, Zoom is like blocking all of my stuff. So I can kind of go through just our repo issues that we have. We have a few labeled as good first issues, and those would be things that are good first issues. And hopefully it's something that new contributors are able to pick up and go through and make. Let me see what this one is. So yeah, so go and make an update based on these issues. So good first issues. So if you are looking for something new, this would be a great place to start. If you want to get into something that is more maybe more website related, we also have a few that are web improvements. The search results are a little wonky. We don't have them separated out by versions. So it kind of just separates everything, puts everything together, which is something that kind of doesn't make any sense. It's not ordered correctly. So when you search for something, it might pop up an older version instead of, we obviously want to have that be the most recent version. And another, so I don't have this. Let me see if I can get this open. One of the other issues that we as a group would like to focus on is the localization of the Harbor interface. So Harbor offers a a UI for folks, and we've had a lot of community contributions to translate that interface over the years, and we only have, like, on the current maintainer team, the bandwidth to verify the English language and the Chinese language translations. So not all of these translations have been kept up with. They're up to date in terms of the actual UI pieces. So how this file works is that you have this file with all these little bits, and then when the UI gets built, it pulls this content in and sort of populates like tooltips and buttons, etc. on the website. So to do the localization, you'd only have to work out of this file. But you can see that some of it is, some of it, this is the French file, some of it is in French, and some of it is not in French. So as things have been updated, we've populated these files with the English versions of the configuration options, but we haven't had community members actually translate it. So we're looking for folks, if you do know other languages than English or Chinese and you are willing to help with that, that is a big area of contribution that we're looking to get folks to help out with. The great thing with Harbor is we are a really big community and very globalized. So hopefully there are some folks here who can help out with that. And I have this issue here. It's linked in the community thing, and I can also link it here in the chat if folks are interested. So I'm looking at a lot of different screens. Am I missing anyone? Does anyone have any questions or anything else I can go over at all?
Hi, Abby. I was just wondering, if you have questions, what is the best way for us to contact you?
Excellent question. So we are going to try to use the Harbor Devs Slack channel in the CNCF Slack group, which should be something that is, from the community page, if you're looking to get this, I think that there's a link to that. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. There was a link in the blog post to that Slack channel if you wanted to join.
If you scroll down on the previous page, there was the link to the community.
Oh, is there? Okay, sorry.
If you
did not
scroll
see
down. Yeah, scroll down.
Oh,
Here it is.
perfect.
Chat with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so this has all of the contact information. The Slack group, the Slack channel I mentioned is probably the best way to do it, to just, you know, ask questions and get work with us there. If you also are noticing something on whatever and you want to open an issue, that's also a really great way to get involved. If there isn't anything you see here that you want to work on, that's okay. Hopefully there is. But I'd also recommend if you just want to start reading through the docs, and if you notice anything that, you know, maybe some better wording or broken links or typos or anything, and you want to just get your feet wet on, you know, creating a PR, that's another great way to do that. If there isn't actually a specific issue you want to work on, but you just want to get more more familiar with the Harbor docs and the PR process, that's a great way to do that. Let me see, do we have any more questions? Okay, let me stop sharing. Hello, everyone. You're back. I can see you all now. That is all I had. So if there aren't any more questions, hopefully, you know, hope to see you around, and hopefully the Harbor project is a good fit for you all. And I am looking forward to some docs contributions. So Orlin, I will hand it back to you.
Thank you, Abby. By the way, you just made my future recording of video absolutely useless. So, but I think we can put all that in some blog post so people can refer to it, like command lines and stuff. Okay. By the way, we have Vadim who can help out with the German verification of the translation. I can do the Bulgarian one if needed. Not sure how many Bulgarians are using it anyway. Okay, with that, let's see. I want to share the agenda, but it's kind of lost. Oh, no? Okay, here we go. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have Prahalat. Go ahead. Hello?
Hey, Colin, can I share screen, please? Yeah. Okay.
Sure thing. I thought, or I can share that, but yeah, better you walk us through that. So.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay. I hope you're all able to see my desktop, and let me put this down. Okay. So first of all, thank you for providing me an opportunity to present this proposal in the Harbor community meeting. So to give a quick background around what this proposal is all around is that there is a right now we want to share data artifacts between subsystems in Harbor. By subsystems, I would mean core Harbor services like Harbor Core and Harbor Job Service. And we would want to do it in a scalable way that is also cross-platform in the sense it doesn't have to rely on the assumptions that, you know, we are going to have access to a particular persistent volume, or, you know, we don't want to do things in a way that is like that's going to create a lot of problems in terms of implementation complexities or performance bottlenecks. So the whole feature started. Sorry, let me start my charger. Yeah, the whole feature started when I am implementing a core feature for exporting vulnerability records to a CSV file. It all works, but the problem is that right now I'm running Harbor on my laptop, and it's pretty easy to persist that CSV file on a volume that is shared between the job service, the Harbor Job Service, and the Harbor Core. So which means that the Harbor Core will be able to serve that file when I request a download of that file. But if we go to, but as I will go through the descriptions of the problem, what happens is in a real environment, especially when you have Kubernetes clusters that are having persistent volumes, the way Harbor mounts persistent volumes is that two persistent volumes cannot be shared across two. A persistent volume cannot be mounted repeatedly by two services, which means that if there is a persistent volume that is mounted by job service, there is no way that the core will be able to mount that persistent volume in its and read the data from it. So with this, what happens is like we need to understand how we can share the data between the two, and that's the reason with this, and that's the reason we ended up building a framework. It's a core backend framework that will allow arbitrary data sharing between sharing of arbitrary data blobs between two Harbor components. There were multiple approaches that we evaluated before we went ahead into developing this proposal. One was that we could have a stateful HTTP session between the Harbor job service and the Harbor core. But then it also means that there is some level of synchronous API execution that needs to be maintained. Some state needs to be maintained either in the core service or in the job service. And this will definitely limit scale because whenever we have state persistence, it means that it impacts scale. Then we have the second problem in Kubernetes environments where multiple replicas of the job service may exist. The Harbor service core service may again need to understand to which job service did it submit a particular request to generate that ad hoc data blob, and then make sure that the next time it communicates with the same job service replica to pull that data. And again, that means it's complex state management when we have to share the data. So this complex state management logic within the Harbor job service and Harbor core, while it can be implemented for one single feature, we would not want to repeat it again and again for multiple features, because each data sharing, like tomorrow, let's say we go ahead and start providing complete reports on bill of materials. We would not again want to create one more HTTP session based sharing mechanism to share bill of materials data. So this was approach one, and that's the reason it was rejected. Then the second one was using Harbor database. We could just simply dump the data file or data blob within the Harbor database, just like we used to dump the vulnerability results as a JSON blob. This is better than the complex stateful HTTP interfaces and definitely scalable, because Postgre has built-in support for binary data like large objects and byte EA. But the problem is, again, with respect to the storage size, like byte EA column, it stores the binary data directly into the database. While it simplifies retrieval, the storing would, Postgre says that the client is responsible for escaping and encoding the data prior to storage on the server. And similarly, reading would require custom encoding decoding logic, which means that, again, we are introducing complexity. And again, we are not able to like different reports like PDF files, etc., that you want to share. Like let's say a job generates a PDF report and we want to share it with the core. The same type of encoding may not be useful as it would maybe for plain text. So again, byte EA is a no-go. For a large data file, like it also means that we have to load all this data file in memory and perform the encoding and decoding. So pretty complex logic coming in again. If using a lob field, that is large object, it stores. The problem is that the PostgreSQL database will store this file outside of the data storage area, but and it stores a pointer to this file. The problem is, like, unlike Java, which is having well-defined interfaces to pull these data files from those locations. Our Golang SDK that we use today, and I researched quite a lot of Golang PostgreSQL drivers. They do not support LOB, large object APIs, etc. So it's only C and Java that today have support for pulling large object data files today. So this again is shut down. We could use persistent volumes, but I mentioned the challenges, and in the interest of time, I'll repeat that. But it's basically, you would not want to sometimes you'll not be allowed to remount a container in another, remount a persistent volume in another service, and this results in persistent volumes also being a no-go. So what we came up with was, we came up with the concept of system data artifact, which is nothing but it's an arbitrary blob of data. it is not necessarily an OCI artifact. It's not compatible with the OCI standard specification. So it's created by a Harbor job service. It's created by a Harbor service to be consumed by other Harbor services, and it has a definite lifespan. Normally, it's not good to create extremely system artifacts that have infinite lifespan. Normally, there is a reason why system artifacts were created. They are mainly data sharing mechanisms, and they should be cleaned up once their utility is done. So what happens is, like, we introduce this concept of a system data artifact, and we also talk about the ownership. So here are some terminologies that we need to understand with respect to how these system artifacts are created, who owns them, and what is the layout. So we have a concept of a vendor, which is nothing but the Harbor subsystem that introduced the system artifact. For example, if we were doing the CSV export data, then we have implemented a job called a scan export job that will be responsible for that will be generating these files. We have the repository, and repository is nothing but it's the name of the Harbor repository, basically. Just like we have Ubuntu repo, so similarly we'll have some name for the system data that is generated. So it would be the repository that would contain the data blob, the type of the blob. So for example, this is mainly again for metadata and tracking purposes. Like, we would want to understand what type of data is present in the file, like type is CSV export detail, or it's left to the vendor to populate this type, basically. This is mainly for metadata purposes. And then we have the digest, which is nothing but the digest of the data blob that is present within the repository. And the following rules apply. A vendor can create multiple repositories. So there could be multiple repositories that can be created by a vendor. Each repository is, however, associated with a single vendor. So you won't have two repositories. You won't have a repository created by multiple vendors. A repository can have multiple types of data blobs. Like, for example, if we have a CSV export job, it could be generating two blobs. One could be a summary report, and one could be a detailed report. And it could be done by the same job, which makes sense because the summary report is nothing but it's an aggregation of the details. So a repository can have multiple types of data blobs, and a digest is associated with a single data blob. So there's a 1:1 mapping between the digest and the corresponding data blob. Now, one of the important things to happen here is that we want to prevent namespace clashes between user-created artifacts and system artifacts. So because all projects reside under a namespace, so what we would need to do is, like, we have decided to have a built-in namespace, just like what traditional SQL databases, or like, there are built-in tables, right? Similarly, we'll have a built-in namespace with the name sys_harbor_ns. The name has been chosen because such a namespace is, like, pretty much difficult to come, like, it's not so intuitive for any end user to define such names. And of course, like, we can't deny the possibility, but this seems to be this seems to be better, and it is also compliant with the repository naming conventions. And additionally, we'll have to make sure that the project API will need to make sure that if anybody is creating a namespace with sys_harbor_ns, or is attempting to create one such namespace, we return back an error saying that, this cannot be done because this is a reserved name. And then I'll come to the storage artifacts hierarchy. I think I will just directly jump over to the diagram. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So for the storage artifacts hierarchy, you can, I'm just presenting this. I don't know what's wrong. 1 second. I hope you're able to see. Oh, okay. Is this visible? Is the
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so you can see to it that there's like this is how at the disk level the storage hierarchy will be visible. You will have the registry blobs, and under the blobs you will have like a digest, and then the data corresponding to each of these blobs or each of these repos. So this would be the data storage hierarchy that is present. So effectively it means that what we're creating is single artifact, like it's a data blob. Corresponding to that, there is just one repo that holds the data blob, one or more data blobs, as I mentioned. And yeah, I think Did I do something that's wrong? Yeah, I think. Just give me a second while it goes back. Hopefully do this. Yeah. So this is the so we just saw the hierarchy, data storage hierarchy. We also have like if we go to the PR, there's a system artifacts repository folder hierarchy, which describes how this repositories are going to be created. It's the same hierarchy, like it's on similar lines of what I displayed right now. And hence the complete system artifact would actually be sys harbor namespace / vendor, which would be like whoever is generating that artifact. Whatever name you want to give to that repository, maybe it could be the job name, it could be some unique system defined name, etc., auto-generated name, etc., and then the type. So this would be the complete hierarchy, and under this you'll ultimately find the data blob if you were to browse through the file system repository. One of the important parts here would be about tracking system data artifact creation, because the whole reason we built this framework was that, well, today also it is possible to create arbitrary blobs in the registry, and nothing stops us from doing it if we use the registry API. So why this framework in place? This framework was in place because it does a lot more than just creating the vendor, creating the blobs. It actually tracks the system artifact. So by tracking, it means that it manages the entire life cycle of the system created system artifacts. So every system artifact is tracked in a table, which is called a system artifact table. And we can see here that there, which contains as primary attribute, it has an ID column, and there is a repository, the digest, the size, the vendor, the type, and the create time, and any extra attributes that we may need for, like metadata or some tags that are associated with those artifacts. So when the system artifact, so every blob that is written to the disk has a corresponding system artifacts record that is created in the system artifacts table. And the reason for this would be like we'll have a top level CRUD API or a create, update, delete API that will ensure that, if we go through the system artifact manager, it takes care of actually creating the blob as well as the corresponding tracking record. And this tracking record is what will be used by other pieces of this framework, like the one that is going to ensure that like we don't have dangling system artifacts remaining there, or we don't have very old system artifacts remaining there. Like every system artifact has a lifespan and we need to clean it up. Now, there's no way for the cleanup logic to actually loop through the entire directory hierarchy and find out what needs to be deleted. It will go to the system artifact. It will go to the system artifact table using this interface, and then ask for system artifacts that are candidates for deletion, and then go and delete those. Okay. One of the most important part here is about artifact cleanup, which is around like normally it is required that that whoever owns the artifact cleans up the artifact. So whoever, let's say there is a CSV export, for example, it has been decided like we generate the CSV export, but when the user downloads it, we'll delete it from the backend store so that the space is reclaimed. But oftentimes in a real world, there will be errors. Like sometimes it will just be that something's went wrong. You're not able to delete that file from the disk for some OS reasons, or there's just faulty logic, right? I mean, the logic was not clear or not correct, and we are leaving back too many files on a disk. So what it means is that there is a artifact cleanup manager that is part of this framework. So this cleanup manager wakes up every day at 12 a.m. And of course it can be scheduled, but it will run every 24 hours and will delete all artifact data that is older than 24 hours. Okay, so this ensures that the longest lifetime by default for a system artifact is 24 hours. Now, why did I use the term by default? Because we have, in order to ensure that there would be some reports, there would be some data that would require lifespan greater than 24 hours. So in such cases, consumers have an option to register something called as a cleanup criteria. And it's the responsibility of the consumer to tell, okay, the cleanup criteria tells me that for every vendor can register a cleanup criteria, which can say that make sure that it returns a list of pointers or file or artifact IDs that can be deleted. And it's completely up to that vendor to decide what IDs to return. So let's say if a vendor has generated 100 artifacts and the vendor says that, just make sure that I want to persist reports at least for 7 days. So it is greater than this 24 hours timeline. So the implementation that the vendor provides for this list method is going to be that it makes sure that it returns only the IDs of those system artifacts that are older than 7 days. So the artifact cleanup manager will make sure that those artifacts that are 7 days or newer will not be deleted from the system. So this provides this provides complete flexibility to the consumer of this framework to decide how long they want to retain that artifact data that they have generated. If every system, if the system does not specify cleanup criteria, then there is a default cleanup criteria that will make sure that it is deleting artifacts that are older than 24 hours. Okay, and then we also want to make sure that there are these tail conditions and race conditions that happen, that the data goes away from the blob, from the disk store, but is remaining in the artifact manager table, or the artifact manager table entry is deleted and it is still not deleted from the disk. So such type of intermittent failures can be auto-corrected if we have this periodic polling logic that wakes up and make sure that it tries to bring this state to an eventually consistent manner like that is desired. Storage quota management. There is no storage quotas right now for system artifacts. We at least for this release, we are not going to put anything. It's targeted for 2.6, so we are not planning for any quota management right now, because quota management requires a lot more thought process also. And there are many options in how we could consider quotas. Like, should it be per vendor level, or should it just be saying that, hey, 20%, like what many databases say, or what Linux says, like give me 2 times the memory, 2 times the physical memory as by swap space. Like, that was the older way Linux systems used to work. So do we go that way, or do we say that no, per vendor, I can give a quota? So this creates a lot of problems because these are internal things and internal aspects. And if we start exposing quota management, then the end user starts getting knowledge about, these are the types of artifacts that are getting generated by the system, which may be overwhelming to the end user in the long run. So we need to think about storage quota management. We are not implementing it right now. Conformance to the OCI artifact standard. We are not conforming to the OCI artifact standard because there are no manifests here. And there is no UI visibility again of the system artifacts, for the simple reason these are internal artifacts. They may exist now, they may not exist a minute later, and it is purely for data sharing purposes. So we don't expose this through UI or APIs. So that's the reason the system artifact manager is a completely separate table. It's not a table that is referred to by any of the existing Harbor middleware logic for pulling data related to artifacts and even the garbage collector. Like, we have our own garbage collection through the cleanup mechanism. We have not modified the existing garbage collector for that. The one thing, however, that we would need to do is we need to at least say that these system artifacts are like when we are showing the available disk space, or available use storage space by Harbor, we'll need to account for the space that is used by the system artifacts. It's pretty simple to do since we have the artifact manager. It is like, and we have a tracking record. We don't really need to iterate through a directory hierarchy and get it. We can get it from that tracking table or that metadata table. So this is the framework. Using this, we have there was a comment on the CSV export feature by Vadim, and should that be closed? Well, Vadim, CSV export feature is stalled for a bit until we implement these, until we implement the system artifact manager, and then CSV export functionality will leverage the system artifact manager to create those CSV artifacts. So basically everything that wants to share data between 2 services, it's recommended to use this new framework that's coming up.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah.
That's from me. I think that's all about it.
Thank you. We're 7 minutes after the hour, so I'm not sure how many of the folks on the call has time to discuss that. And anyone questions? We can go a quick round of questions if anyone is having anything about that proposal.
Yeah, from my side, it's good. I mean, it's a valuable addition to Harbor, you know, storing artifacts, especially if we consider the fact that people would like to export CVs and making reports about registries, about the artifacts. It makes sense to have some sort of functionality that are able to store artifacts or reports. For that, this is like the idea here, and it makes sense to extend Harbor with this functionality.
Great. So we can put it for voting, I think. Right? We can merge and put it for voting.
I think it's already voted now. Some.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, we're still missing a bit, I guess.
Some of the maintainer has already reviewed that proposal, and we need more maintainer to review that.
Yeah, we need more approvals. Yeah.
Okay. Prahalad, can you share the link into the Harbor Dev channel? So
Yeah, sure.
folks can, yeah, and maybe tag Go Harbor all maintainers in the GitHub. So yeah, bye Dora. Thanks for joining. So everyone can take a look and review.
Yep, no problem. I will do that. So I'll go to the Harbor Dev channel and I'll share the link, and I'll also tag it in GitHub too. Can you please send me that the tag Go Harbor maintainers? Is that what I'll have to tag in GitHub?
Yeah, it's a team. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Give me a sec. Yeah. With this one, I think we have another point in our agenda for today about releases. Abby added something.
Yeah, sorry, I know we're over time, and I can take this to the channel if we want to discuss more, to the dead whatever channel we want to talk it into. We talked about the release date of the next release on March 11th, which is a Friday, and we also so I just wanted to bring that up to see if we could change the date to either a little bit before or a little bit after, depending on what the maintainers are. So we're not releasing on a Friday. I think that would be helpful for folks. But I can post that in the channel too, so we don't have to keep people late to see what the team wants to do.
Yeah. My 2 cents. Releasing on Friday is not the best idea. I mean, the visibility for releasing on Friday will be like half of the visibility that we can get on Monday, for example. So I'm in favor of releasing on Monday in general, anytime. All right, let's discuss that in the channel. And thank you everyone for the folks who joined for our SIG Docs. Thank you very much once again. I hope we can work together on this one. Everyone who is interested in that, please reach out to me. My name is Urban Vasiliev again, and to Abby in the Harbor Dev channel or directly in Slack, so we can set up the next meeting when we're gonna meet, because that was part of the agenda for today, but there's no time to discuss this one. I don't want to hold everyone else more on this one. So we can touch on Slack on this one and decide a date and make it recurring every single month, if that's okay for everyone. With that, thank you. Have a nice rest of the day or evening, depends where you are. And talk again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.